Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, what's up? My name is vianney.strick. Thank you so much for being here. So today, as you can see, I am barefaced because I am doing, as you can see by the title, how I used to do my makeup versus now, and I will be doing half of my face one way and half the other. And I kind of wanted to leave like the final result as a surprise, so I figured I would just do my intro bareface. Let me know if you guys like that. I wanted to show you guys this because it's not that I do my makeup right now and I used to do it wrong. It's just I've found ways that I personally think that makeup suits me, and I used to kind of just do what everybody else was doing even if it didn't look good on me. You just have to really learn your face to see what looks good on you because we all are so different. So I really hope that you guys find this video interesting and that you also enjoy it. If you do enjoy this video, you know what to do. Please make sure to give it a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel to join my squad. Let's get into it. Okay guys, so we're just gonna dive right in. We are gonna start out with eyebrows. Man, the memories of my eyebrows. Like, thank you guys for not being rude to me when my eyebrows used to look like this. So as you guys can see, I do have eyebrows, and the reason why I do is because I have microblading. Before I used to not, so I would just kind of make my shape whatever I wanted. Now this is the shape that I love, so I kind of just fill that in. But back in the day when I had no eyebrows and I wanted to make really thick bulletproof brows, I used to do soap brows. Now I don't have any soap with me because I only use like liquid soap and body wash. So I figured I would try my best to use a thick eyebrow gel to like push them up. The two tools that I would use to fill in my brows would be a brow powder, which is actually this exact one. I used to love this. This is like the NYX brow powder kit. And then I would also use an eyeliner because before microblading, I actually didn't have the tail. This is completely tattooed. And so to make sure that it would stay there, I would just use an eyeliner and then put, you know, powder over it. So I'm gonna speed this up, but I'm gonna do my eyebrows the exact same way that I used to. They're gonna look a little crazy, but that's literally what I looked like. So here we go. I wish I was exaggerating, but this is how, like, look at this picture. Like, this is how I used to do my brows. Cool, I can't believe I used to do that. Nowadays, I just prefer to fill it in with either a pomade or a pencil. Right now, I've been obsessed with the Benefit Brow Styler. I use the shade 4.5. This is a pencil and a powder because I always like to set my pencil or pomade with a powder, and then I'm also going to finish it up with the Benefit Brow Setter. But you guys are gonna see how much better it looks and how much natural I look and how it makes my face, it actually frames my face way better. Okay, so I cleaned them both with concealer, and as you guys can see, this is still a bold brow. Like, I don't think that my brow looks natural by any means, but just the thickness of this and the way it's raised up, I always thought, oh, it's like a facelift. I mean, look at me. I have a caterpillar on my face. So we're gonna move on to eyeshadow, and it's not necessarily that I used to do my eyeshadow a specific way, but my first like real eyeshadow palette that was actually good was the Carli Bybel palette. This is the first edition with BH Cosmetics, and this was my go-to every single day. There is nothing wrong with this palette. It's actually such a stunning palette, but because this was my go-to palette, I used to do a lot of cool toned eyeshadow, and as you guys can see, I'm more yellow toned. Now, not saying that this looks bad on me, but now I prefer something more like this, like the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette. You guys know my favorite palette go-to is the ColourPop Double Entrande. I'm not going to use this in this video because I've been using it in every single video and I should probably stop. You know what? Why don't I use the Tati palette? I'm going to use this one instead. Yeah, I'm going to do that. So like I said, it's not necessarily that I used to do my eyeshadow horribly or anything like that. I just think that personally I do look better in warmer tones than these. I'm gonna do both sides of my eyes and we can kind of compare when I'm done. Okay, I just had such difficulty with the Carli Bybel palette. I mean, I will say I got this when it came out, so it's probably expired AF, but the shades were not working, but I didn't want to like, I don't want you guys to think that I'm like purposely making it look bad. So I went and used the Lorac Pro Original, which is probably also expired, but I wanted to use like the cool tone shades that it has, but this is just more my vibe now. I prefer warm tone golds, chocolate browns. Even a lot of the time I do put bronzer on my crease, and that's all I do. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about lashes. I have definitely changed my lash style so much. I prefer more of a soft glam. I think it's so suiting for me. Again, everything I say, if you do it, keep doing it. Do what you like. I still have lashes that I used to wear in my older videos. Not saying there's anything wrong with these, I just don't think they look very good on me. So these are the Allure Vegas Nay Platinum Princess lashes. I used to think that the bigger the lash, the more glam you would look. Honestly, I didn't really wear fake lashes until I started my YouTube channel. So I started experimenting, and while I was experimenting, I was just using the biggest, boldest lashes I could find, and I just don't think they look good on me. Nowadays, I prefer something like the lashes I've created, and this is like, I guess a self-promo, but obviously I prefer the lashes that I created because I created them. So if you guys don't know, I do have a lash line and lipsticks and lip liners with Delarza Cosmetics. This is my softer glam lashes that I created. They're in the style Princessa. So this is more my style now. It is a lot piecier, a lot softer. It's not as long and as bold, and I just feel like this makes my eyes and my eye shape just look way better. So lashes are on, and damn, even like putting on a thinner lash is so much easier. So these are the Vegas Nay. I'm not saying that it looks bad, it's just too much and it feels heavy and it's not comfortable, but I just feel like something like this just looks so much sexier and softer on me. I love these lashes. I mean, I don't know if you guys can tell the difference, but I definitely can. Let's move on to the face. Back in the day, I used to love my illuminating primers. Not that I don't like them anymore, but I'll explain why. I used to be obsessed with this Milani Prime Light. It's like a strobe, and it does feel good and, you know, whatever. Yes, it gives you luminosity. I mean, it literally does exactly what it says it will. And I used to put it all over my face until I looked like a Tin Man. Now, the reason why I don't like to do this anymore is because anything this luminous is going to make your texture or your pores definitely stand out more. It's going to highlight them. Back in the day, I used to not have pores. As I've gotten a little bit older, I have noticed that I do have a lot of pores. So now doing something like this, all it does is make my pores look bigger. Nowadays, I would just use this on my cheekbones and anywhere that I do want to highlight. So now I prefer to use either a pore minimizing primer or a primer that makes your skin feel hydrated and tacky. The Ciate Watermelon Burst primer is a good way to do it. It's not luminous at all. It's just like a clear gel, and it gives your skin the hydration that it needs, but it also makes your skin tacky for the foundation to sit on nicely. But it doesn't emphasize anything, but it still gives you that hydration feel that I would get from this side. And then as for pore minimizing primers, Benefit POREfessional, after I put on the primer that I want, I just take a little bit of it and I put it only where I have pores. I don't actually put this all over my face. So my pores are like right here. So I kind of do that, and I push it in, and I also push it on my nose. Foundation is just gonna sit nicer on it. So compare my skin, like yes, this looks glowy, but look at all this texture that it's showing, and then if we look over here, my face just looks smooth and it's tacky. So this is just what I prefer to do. Moving on to foundation, really the trend of this video is that I used to do a lot more of a dramatic makeup look back in the day. Nowadays, I prefer something lighter. Not necessarily lighter coverage, but just thinner consistency. So for my used to side of the face, I'm gonna use one of the foundations I used to love using. This is the Clinique Beyond Perfecting Foundation. I have it in the shade Golden Neutral. This is still a great foundation. It's just a little bit too thick for my liking at this point. Now I prefer to stick to something like this. This is the Maybelline Dream Urban foundation, and I do have it in soft tan. This still gives me the coverage that I want without the cakiness. I'm sorry if it doesn't match. I haven't used this foundation in so long. I guess something that has changed is I used to go in straight with a sponge. I now prefer to go in with a brush than a sponge because I feel like that gives me the most coverage. One of the reasons why I started going lighter with my makeup is because I crease so much around my mouth, my smile lines. They crease so much, and I realized that the less product I put in there, the less it would crease. So with this, I actually don't even use that much. I put it straight on my face. So I just like to blend it out. And also, I prefer to cover things up with concealer than with foundation. With foundation, I'm really just trying to even out my skin tone, not necessarily cover every blemish. And that's pretty much it. I don't know if you guys can even tell the difference, but in person you definitely can. Like, my skin just looks heavy and cakey, and over here it just looks smoother. I still have glow from the Hydrating primer, and I'm also gonna set my face anyway, so I don't really care to glow before any of that anyways. So for concealer, I have always been a full coverage concealer girl. I just prefer to cover up my eye bags. But what has changed is that I used to do more of like the highlight routine where I would want to highlight under my eyes. I still do, but not as much. I still love this Milani Concealer in Perfect. It's still one of my favorites, but I do think that it's a little bit light for me. So I'm just going to use this under my eyes. I don't think it looks bad. I just don't like to go this light with my concealer anymore. And sometimes I have noticed that if you do go a little too light, it actually makes your under eyes look worse. So back in the day, I used to also I used to highlight my forehead and my chin, and sometimes over here. I don't ever highlight my forehead anymore because it just gets cakey in here. I don't like to add product. I'm completely fine without highlighting it, but I used to always do that, always put it on my chin. Nowadays, if I put concealer on my chin, it's really just to cover blemishes because that's usually where they are, and I used to reverse contour. I don't really use that anymore, so as you guys can see, I'm just getting completely I'm just doing completely less product. So this is what we're looking like. I know it look crazy, but it will look better once I set it. But it's just a more aggressive way to contour and highlight. I'm gonna mix two concealers because I have been loving, as you guys know, the e.l.f. Hydrating Concealer, but I wish it had more coverage, so I'm actually gonna mix it with the J.Cat Stay Assurance Concealer. These colors compared to this, they're just a lot darker. I am going to just put concealer where I normally do, so it's under the eyes and right there to like do the little inner corner. I do on my nose, not to highlight, but I do it because foundation rubs off my nose anyways, and then I'm gonna put it on a blemish, and that's it. That's all I do with concealer. I'm just gonna add a little dab of this just to add more coverage. See how this is just more full coverage, but it's not super highlighted. I just prefer this look. Again, I like a softer look nowadays. There's no right or wrong way to do it. For setting powder, the only thing that has changed is that I now use a powder that actually works for my skin. Back in the day, I used to use airspun powder because everybody was raving about it. This is too drying for my under eyes. Now I do prefer something that's not as drying, and as you guys know, I love my Hailey's Beauty Retouch Perfecting Loose Powder. I just have powders that I do think work best for me. Back in the day, I used to just use whatever, and whatever was airspun. Not hating on it, but it just didn't really make my skin look very good. So I'm gonna go in with the Hailey's Beauty one, and I also use a lot less product under my eyes now because, again, I don't want my eyes to look crusty dusty. So now I use like a way thinner film, and I also think that looks better. In person, this side just looks a lot smoother and nicer, and this one just looks very cakey. Moving on to contour, I still contour, but back in the day I used to contour a little bit more. So I'm gonna be using the Wet n Wild contour palette. This is Caramel Toffee. I still like to contour with powder, but back in the day, I used to contour my forehead, and I don't think I need to because I don't have that big of a forehead, and I also don't have a good hairline. Like, I know it, guys, okay? I know it. I get so many comments about my hairline and about if I fill it in. No, I don't fill it in. My hairline is just naturally like that. Love it or hate it, I don't care. But I used to contour my forehead because everyone used to. I still do this. So I contour the cheekbones and I bring it up. Then I would just contour my forehead, which I just don't think I need that because I still go over it with bronzer, so there's no need to be contouring anything. Like, I literally don't have a contourable forehead. Back on the now side, I still contour my cheekbones, bring it up. I don't really use that much product anymore. I'm just creating a shadow, and that's pretty much all I do. Just a nice little cut. For bronzer, the only thing that has changed is that I now always have to have a luminous bronzer on top of a matte one. Back in the day, I used to not really care about that, so I'm just going to bronze my face with the same bronzer, but on this side, I am gonna add the luminous bronzer. That's pretty much it. It's just preference. Not that much difference. It's just this side has a little bit of luminosity without highlighter yet. Moving on to blush, nothing has changed. I have always loved blush, even before blush was a thing. Like, I remember I used to wear blush all the time, and no one would wear blush. And I'm like, how could you not like blush? And now everybody loves it, and I love that everyone loves it because I've always thought blush always just makes you look better. And for highlight, I used to just go in with the most blinding highlight possible because that's what we used to do, right? Ofra Rodeo Drive. Guys, it is beautiful, but it's so freaking blinding, and I'm just not into that look anymore. I still think this is a great inner corner highlight, under the brow bone highlight, but I don't really put this on my face anymore because it is just too much for me. The way I used to, oh, see, like, this is insane. Dude, I haven't used these crazy highlighters in so long, but this is what I used to do. I still love a blinding highlight in the inner corner, so I'll do that on both sides. But now, my highlighter routine has changed. I love a luminous powder first as the base for my highlight. My favorite has been the Laura Mercier Translucent Glow Setting Powder. I like to put it on the cheekbones. And then I also bring it up the temples. And then I also do it above the eyebrow. I love highlighting my forehead because it just makes it look like you just have dewy skin. And then I will go in with a highlighter that's a little bit more blinding, still not as much as the Ofra one. So this is Laura Geller Gilded Honey, and I'll just pop it on the top. That's it, on top of the cheekbone. So I can still have that popped cheekbone, but it's not like a stripe of highlight. With my finger, I do the tip of my nose and also the bridge of my nose, and that's it. I don't connect it down because I have that break in my nose. So just remember, don't do what everyone else is doing, just do whatever looks good on you. So I'm quickly just gonna finish my lash line with shadow. Nothing has changed. I still love smoking out my shadow. I've always liked doing that. And so I'm quickly just gonna do that off camera, and we'll come right back to finish the rest of the look. Let's move on to lips. The only thing that has changed again is that now I use more of a warm tone lipstick, whereas I used to love this like dark mauve, which I still think this looks good, but for an everyday kind of go-to, I just prefer a warmer tone. So this is the Tartiste lip paint in the shade Front Row. Now I like to use the L'Oreal liquid lipstick in Explore, which again, I'm just prefer warmer tones. That's it. I guess I'll just line my lips with the same lip liner, and then we'll just go in with the different lipsticks. I still do think that this is a beautiful shade, but this was like my go-to shade for almost every day, and now I prefer something a little bit more toned down, and again, a little bit warmer tone. Nothing has changed with my setting spray. I have always preferred just a luminous setting spray, so I'm gonna spray my face with the Bretman Rock Jungle Rock Setting Mist. And we're at the end of the video. This is how my makeup used to look. I don't hate it, but I just prefer something more like this. By the way, I totally forgot to say this at the beginning of the video, but this video is sponsored by JUICYJAS, Jasmine. I did see her do this video and I thought it was a great idea. So I will link her video down below as well as her name and her channel. But yeah, I just think it's so interesting because it's kind of funny looking at myself in the mirror because if I like do this, I see like old V&A and now I see new V&A, which is crazy. Really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Stay safe out there. I know with everything going on, like I said in my last video, I am thinking of you guys. Please stay indoors and just be safe. Know that I'm not avoiding the issue. I'm just trying to give you guys content, and I love you guys so much. Let me know what you guys want to see down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.